Hello friends, you don't know how excited I am to be back home and in my kitchen. I'm so thrilled that you're here with me. We have so many great things to make today. Peach jam, peach hand pockets, and peach streusel muffins. I can't wait for you and I to bake together. But first I'm gonna have a little garden tour. So stay tuned. We have lots of great things coming right up. How are you, friends? I'm so glad you're back with me. I'm just gonna go out to the garden and do some tomato picking and check on all of my plants since I've been gone. Look at the squash. Oh my goodness, it's trailing. And my strawberry bed, they're looking really good. So I really need to focus on picking these tomatoes. I've had actually a really good crop of tomatoes, surprisingly enough, and the potatoes that I put in way too late are doing amazing. There's already little potatoes sticking out of the ground. Shocking, but super exciting. So let's just go back to the greenhouse and pick these tomatoes, and maybe I'll even have enough to do some more canning later on this week. Look how beautiful they are. They're kind of like stragglers at the end of the season because it is the middle of September now, but I'm still just leaving them and they're ripening. So beautiful. It's been really warm here for September and the leaves are just starting to turn yellow outside and a little bit kind of like that feeling of fall is coming, but not quite yet. There isn't that really cool, crisp evening air yet, but it sure is cooler and nicer to sleep at night, that's for sure. This wooden planter box here is just, I don't know what kind of soil is in this one I had, but it is just doing so good. I've got cherry tomatoes, little cabbages shoved in there, and they're just overtaking the whole thing. The only problem with my little baby cabbages is that I'm starting to get those little moth holes in the bottom of the cabbage leaves, but I'm gonna still be eating them because look how cute they are. They're getting round, and like I said, everything was late that I put in, so I'm really excited even to get 3 cabbages. And this is my front flower bed, the roundabout that we created, and it's just looking really lush and beautiful. And there's our little humble abode. Hello you guys, I'm Angela from Buckridge Homestead, and welcome to my kitchen. For those of you who don't know me or haven't been here before, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Today I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with peaches. We're going to be making peach preserves, peach crumble muffins, and maybe even a peach cake, or pockets, I'm not sure. I haven't decided quite yet. But I'm back. This is the first time I've been back into my kitchen since my heart transplant. And for those of you following the heart transplant journey, I've put up part 4, and that's pretty much the max I'm going to do there's part 1, 2, 3, and 4 for my heart transplant journey. If you're interested in watching, the first few parts are pretty graphic, so if you see me kind of out of breath, that's why. I'm recovering. September 5th is actually my 4-month mark. And here I am in my kitchen. I'm so excited and so grateful to be able to be alive and be here and do stuff and get back to cooking and baking and canning and all the stuff that I love to do in the garden and crafts and projects. So I'm just thrilled that you're here. So let's get started on making some of this stuff, because I have a lot of peaches that I bought on the way home from Vancouver. I had a heart biopsy last week. I have to have those quite often, and I've probably had over 15 of them at least, and now they're only once a month. I'll have to go down and leave for a week to go do that. But on my way home, I stopped and got peaches before they finished. They're a little bit ripe, some of them quite ripe, so I gotta get at it. And the crazy thing is the price of stuff. 2 boxes like this are $60 Canadian. Like, that just is crazy for fresh peaches. So I don't want anything to go to waste, and I'm really lucky. Last night I put the peaches outside because they were getting fruit flies in the house. And the dogs were barking in the night, so I was really praying that the bears didn't smell the peaches. So they were there in the morning. It was just a deer, and I have them all to do my stuff with. So super lucky, and yeah, so pumped to be back in my kitchen with you guys. I'm just probably going to do a lot of chit chat today, catching up with you, and baking and canning at the same time. So let's get at it. So first things first, I'm just going to make a really good smoothie so that I can nourish my body while I'm doing this, because I know myself, and when I get busy I forget to eat, and then I get so hungry that I go for some really junky sweet snack that I would rather not have. So I'm just going to make this really nice smoothie. I've got some plain vanilla protein powder and some nectarines and some coconut yogurt and a little bit of leftover peaches that were cut up, that I ate a few of those peaches that I got that are so delicious fresh, and I'm just going to blend that up for myself. I also used a little bit of collagen powder, and I think I even cut up an apple and put that in there, so I would have something with lots of fruit. So yeah, that's going to be my breakfast for the day before we get started, because we have a lot to do. I can't wait to show you guys my version of peach jam, and you can also do this with far less peaches if you prefer. I'm using quite a few peaches and making quite a few jars, and I'm also doing them in the small size 1/2 pint jars, because I like to make mine now at the end of the summer and use them for like Christmas gifts and different things to put into baskets. So I end up making my jam in smaller jars. Now I do make a few bigger jars to put in the fridge and to keep for ourselves, but mostly I'm going to be using the small jars today. So I'm just going to add all of this yummy fresh fruit, and then enjoy this delicious smoothie, and then we'll get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get some water boiling on the stove so I can blanch these peaches. And I just put them in the boiling water for about 30 seconds, and then the skin comes off so easily. So I'm just going to get that going, and in the meantime I'm going to fill up my water bath canner with some cool water. I only need enough because I'm using smaller jars. I only need to fill my water bath canner about 1/3 of the way full, because they're not quarts today. But you can make whatever size jam you like. If your family goes through a lot of jam, you can make this into quarts for sure. And these peaches that I have are so beautiful and ripe. This is the perfect thing to do with them because they're already quite soft and I don't want anything to go to waste. we stopped on the side of the road in the deserty area and grabbed these beautiful peaches at this little tiny place in the middle of nowhere. And I think if I can remember the name of it, it was Hills. I usually get stuff at Desert Hills, but this time, no, it was Hilltop Gardens. That's what it was, Hilltop Gardens fruit stand. And I love their peaches. They're not freestone, but they're split stone, and I just love the way that they taste. They're so fresh, and nothing beats the flavor of fresh peaches to me. So I'm just gonna prepare next is some nice cool ice water so that when the peaches come out of the hot water blanch that I'm putting them in there for 30 seconds, are gonna put immediately into this ice water to cool them down. I don't wanna cook the peaches. I don't wanna walk away when I'm doing it or anything and leave the peaches sitting in the hot water because they would just be mush. But I just want to quickly dip them in for 30 seconds and then immediately they're gonna go into the cool ice water, and it's going to make it super easy to peel. They are pretty ripe, so I don't necessarily have to do this step, but this step does create less waste. I have just peeled the peaches with a knife, and you do take more of the peach off with the knife. But when they are more ripe, you can kind of get away with that sometimes, but I don't want to waste any of these peaches because they were so expensive. The price of fruit and vegetables, it seems like, has just gone through the absolute roof, so I really don't want to waste any. Plus I found some soft ones at the bottom of the box that I think I'm gonna have to throw at least 2 of them away, so that's kind of a pity, but I'm not gonna waste any left. So I'm just on my second batch now, and I'm done and blanched all the peaches, and now I'm just gonna peel them into my pot, and then after that I will get to taking out the pit and continue on. So now I've got all these delicious peaches all blanched and peeled, and now I'm just going to take the pits out and chop them up into like a whatever size. I like a little bit of chunks in my jam, in my peach preserve, so I'm going to leave it quite chunky, but you can make it as fine as you like when you chop them up. For this recipe, I'm using 3 packages of the classic pectin, and that'll do about 10 pounds. And I've washed up about 16 jars, but I'm not sure how many I'll actually use. Do these ever look delicious? So now that I have all of my beautiful peaches all chopped and pitted, I'm going to start by squeezing some fresh lemon juice from these lemons. I'm not letting anything right now go to waste that's in the fridge. So these lemons have kind of had their day, but they're going to be perfect for this squeezing because they are just not very nice looking lemons, but they're perfectly good for making this kind of jam. So you want to squeeze out about 1/4 cup, and if you were going to split this recipe in half, you would put half of that in there, and once you squeeze enough, you can measure it out and make sure that you have approximately 1/4 cup. So now I'm just going to combine everything together. It smells delicious. I want to get all of the juice in there. I don't want to waste anything. And there I have my measured out 1/4 cup lemon juice. And I'm just going to next add my pectin. So what I want to do is I want to add this to the peaches and kind of incorporate it and stir it up in between pouches. And you can totally use liquid pectin here. I'm just using the powdered version, which is a little bit more cheaper version, but you can use whatever you like. I've used the liquid pectin lots, and I've seen that it's worked out just as well as this kind. But I just happen to have these in the cupboard, so I'm going to use those packages, and I'm going to stir in between each package until it's kind of dissolved into the juices. So now it's just incorporating so nice, and I'm going to pop that on the stove. These are looking so delicious. I could just eat it like this. So I gotta get that water boiling that's on the stove for my jars. And I always have the rack in there. I never put my jars straight away on the bottom of the counter. You need to use some sort of metal rack or something that keeps them from going onto the bottom and cracking. So what we want to do now is we want to put it on high heat and bring this to a full rolling boil. So once it comes to a full rolling boil, then I'm going to add the sugar. So I've got it on high, and I'm just going to wait for it to come to the boil. And in the meantime, I'm going to mash up some of these bigger pieces because they're still a little bit large. As much as I love the chunks, I want it just a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to start and measure out my sugar, and the recipe technically calls for 10 cups of sugar, and I don't want to use quite that much because that's actually how much you need for it to set perfectly. But I'm gonna cut back and use 6 or 7 cups and see if it will set. And I don't mind if it's a little bit more loose of a jam. It doesn't have to be super firm. I would rather have less sugar, but this is going to be a lot of jars, keep in mind, for that amount. You can also get low sugar or like low sugar or no sugar pectin, but the stuff that I just happen to have on hand is the regular version. So I'm just going to use that now. And so as soon as it comes to a boil, I'm going to stir constantly and not let it not stir at all. And there's a secret reason for doing this, and that is because when you stop stirring, the jam can actually start to set, and then you go back and you stir it again, and then you leave it, it starts to set again, and you're breaking all of the gelatin up. So that's the reason behind stirring constantly. So you want to bring it to a full boil. You can't actually stir that boil down. So now I've boiled this hard for 1.5 minutes approximately, and it's ready to put into the clean and sterile jars. So I have already washed these jars and let them dry and brought them over to my butcher block. And now I'm going to put the nice warm jam in there. And you want to do it as fast as you can because you don't want it to start setting in your pot. So I'm just going to get all of these jars all filled up, and then I'm going to clean the rings with a soft, clean cloth, the jar lids. And in the meantime, I have sterilized the seals, and which means basically that I've just put them in really hot water and set them aside so that I can, once I have put the jam into the jar and I have wiped the ring with either hot water or hot water and vinegar you can use, just to make sure that there's no little bits of sweet jam, sticky jam on the jar ring, because that'll keep it from sealing. Oh, this smells so yummy. So you want to fill the jar up, whatever size jar that you're using, to the bottom of the ring. There's usually 3 rings at the top, and you just want to have it about, so it's about 1 inch from the top. You're giving that space so that when you can it, you have that air space in there for it to seal and bubble up. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue on and fill my jars until they're all filled up. Wow, I ended up having so much jam. I had to stop and wash a few extra jars and prepare some extra seals. That's incredible. I'm excited how many I have. So now I'm just gonna pop as many as I can fit in the canner, where I don't want them so tight that they're banging around, but I don't want to leave big holes because I have a lot to put in here. But again, I don't want them clanking together if I can help it. So I'll just put these in there, and then I'll get these to bring these to a full rolling boil and put the lid on with the lid slightly ajar. Okay, so now I've got all my jars sitting in the water, and I'm going to bring that to a boil slowly with the lid kind of cracked, and then I'm just going to boil those for 10 minutes. It's super easy. Sticky, yes. A little time consuming, yes, but so worth it, especially if you have ripe peaches. They make an amazing jam. So now while these boil for 10 minutes, I'm going to clean up my mess. Oh, I even have a drawer sticking out. And put some of this stuff away and do a quick cleanup. And then I'm going to take the peaches that I peeled, not the pits, but the actual skin, out to the chickens because they're going to go crazy. Okay, you guys, look at how many jars that I got. This is from the 10 pounds of peaches, so let's count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. 15 half pints and 1, 2, 3 pints, and then also I did an extra one that I didn't even can, that I'll show you, that I put in I reused a jam jar, and I'm just gonna put this in the fridge and eat it right away because I want to. I love peaches. So depending on how much or what size jars you're going to use, it'll determine how much how many jars you need. So if you want to use bigger jars, then you can just calculate how many you need. But it'll always be a little bit different depending on the size of your peaches. So I just like to wash a lot of extra jars and have them ready just in case. And but at least then you have enough, and they're all washed and ready, and your lids are ready. So make sure you have your lids and your rings and everything organized. And then all it needs is 10 minutes to can. So there we have it. We're done our peach preserves. Okay, so I've got my peaches, and I'm going to walk out and give the birds their treat. They're going to be so excited about this. I think they're going to go crazy, and I need them to eat it before the bears come. Come on, Annie. Come on. She sees that a girl. Come on. Oh, here they all come. Come on, you guys. Here. Oh, my boxes are stuck together. There we go. Come on. Oh, they're coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, exciting. They're gonna gobble those up. Oh, look who's popping out. Hey, honey. It's Olivia Newton-John. What are you doing? You got a piece of straw stuck to you. Okay, so now we're gonna go on and make our next thing with the peaches, because I've got to use up these beautiful peaches here that are getting ripe. And I'm gonna make peach streusel muffins. So if you want to follow along with me, I'll tell you all the ingredients, and I'll also list the ingredients in the description box below. So I'm just gonna peel these peaches up. I'm not gonna blanch them like I did for the preserves, but I'm just gonna peel them with a knife, because they are so overripe. But if you weren't using super overripe peaches, you definitely want to blanch them so you didn't waste so much of the peach, unless you're super good at peeling. I'm not. So I've got my mixer out and I'm ready. I've got all my ingredients out on the counter, and I'm going to get this stuff all made up. So what I want to use is 1 1/4 cups flour, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 cup of white sugar. I actually used brown sugar in this recipe because I used so much sugar in the peach preserves. I just wanted to try this today with some brown sugar in it. So I'm just going to add all that up and give it a quick blend, those dry ingredients up, and then I'm going to mix up the wet ingredients. I know my brown sugar looks funny because I've mixed light brown sugar and dark brown sugar in the same jar, but it's fine. It's just that's how I put it in the jar. Anyway, I'm just going to get those whipped up and get the rest of the wet ingredients going. So now I'm just going to add 2 cups of freshly chopped peaches, half a cup milk, a good splash of vanilla, 1 egg, and about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use avocado oil too. I like to substitute both those kinds of oils, but whatever you have on hand is perfect. And then just go and set your oven at 350, and we're gonna try and bake these for about 20 to 30 minutes, but I'll probably start it at 20 just to be on the safe side. Here I'm just going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon to a teaspoon, whatever you prefer, and a splash of nutmeg, and give that a little blend. I don't want to blend it very much, just barely to mix the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, and then the batter will be really tender and the dough or the muffin mix won't be tough. You just barely want to incorporate that, and then just, even if you stir it with a spoon instead of blending it, that's okay too. I'm just using a muffin scoop and filling up 12, a muffin tin that holds 12 muffins, and there's like a tiny little bit extra, so I'm just going to top that up there and then get my streusel topping all made, which is so good. This is the part that makes the muffin so delicious. It's that crispy, streusely crumb kind of topping that you put on the top, and yum, super good. I wanted to mention, did I put a pinch of salt in there? Anyway, you put a pinch of salt, but again, the recipe will be in the description box below, so if I forgot anything, I will have it in there for you. These look so yummy. I kind of cleaned up a little bit of my mess around the edges. I'm always kind of messy, I know. Okay, so now for our crumb topping, we're just going to put a scant 1/4 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and then a dash of cinnamon and nutmeg again. And if you want exact measurement, maybe a 1/2 teaspoon or a 1/4 teaspoon of the nutmeg, and then probably about 3 or 4 tablespoons of cold butter. It can be salted or unsalted. I'm using unsalted right now because I'm on a low salt diet for my heart. But you can use whatever you like. And then you're just gonna mix that with a fork or a pastry blender until the streusel topping is like a crumb size of like a peas, like a crumb topping. And the butter can still be in pretty like pea-sized chunks, that's totally fine, because we're just going to sprinkle this on the top. It's going to be so yummy. Okay guys, I'm going to pop these beauties into my oven that is preheated at 350. And these are going to go in for approximately 20 minutes, but I will check them because I want to make sure that they're done, but I don't want them to be hard. So I'm just going to put the timer on for 20 minutes and then we'll check them. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Whoa, I can already tell those are not done. They're definitely need 5 more minutes. So I'm gonna add at least 5 minutes, at least, and then I'll check them again. Okay, so now we're gonna start making the ham pies. And I have about 8 pounds of peaches left, so I'm gonna go with that. And I'm just gonna start basically making a peach pie filling. So I'm just gonna get the rest of the peaches chopped up. I think I had, like I said, about 8 pounds left. And then I will make the pastry. So I will give you the whole recipe in the description and as I go along, and you can make them too. They are so good and they freeze really, really well. It looks like these are done. And I've got the pie filling coming along on the stove top. These are our peach streusel muffins. Finally done. They took like 30 minutes. I'm just going to double check that they're nice and done. You know what? I think they actually need a couple more minutes. Wow, that's taken a long time. That was 30 minutes. So I'm going to say like maybe 33 minutes. So let's add 3 more minutes. This is looking really good. So far I've got the peaches roughly chopped, about 2 teaspoons of salt, and a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and 1.5 cups of sugar. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add my, don't know where to put anything anymore. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of, oh my goodness, butter. And again, adjust your recipe depending on how many peaches that you have. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a sprinkle of nutmeg, and I'm going to add a sprinkle of cinnamon. And then I'm going to let that just simmer for a little while. So now I just want to make my cornstarch mixture. You know me, you guys, I usually don't measure, so this is a bonus. 1, 2, I'm not measuring that right anyway. 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to add 5 tablespoons water and stir that up so I don't get any lumps in my beautiful pie filling. It's smelling so good with the butter. I'm just going to put this on medium-low too, so I don't want to burn it. These are finally done. The top is bouncing back, so that's what we know. And you know what? I have so many fresh peaches in there that they took a little bit longer, so it ended up taking 33 minutes. Okay, so it's really easy now. All we have to do, now that we've got this simmering, is add our cornstarch mixture, which I already added the water to so that it wouldn't be, I would make sure I had no lumps. We're going to add that to our peach pie filling mixture. And you're just going to simmer this on low now until it thickens. So I don't know how long that will be, just a few minutes it will take to thicken. And then I'm going to just let it cool in the same pot while I get the pastry dough ready. Oh, I can't wait to try this. It smells amazing. Yum. Look how perfect this is. It's so beautiful. It only took like 5 minutes. So I've shut the burner off and I'm just gonna let this sit now. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna wipe off my canning jars, taste test a muffin, and get making my pastry. So my recipe for pie crust uses 6 cups of flour, 2 cups of cold butter, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 1/3 cups approximately of ice cold water. It's super simple, and if you don't work your dough too much, it's so nice, tender, and flaky. So just combine the dry ingredients and then add the water and the butter all cubed up and mix that together, and it's just fabulous. So you know the proper way to make pastry is to have your dry ingredients, and then you're going to want to incorporate your butter into with your pastry blender, and then you're going to add your cold water and just start stirring that gently with a fork. And as it starts turning into a gentle ball, you can dump it out of the bowl onto your floured surface and just work it, but very lightly. Don't knead it like you would be bread. We're just going to knead this just to incorporate the ingredients in, so it's super flaky. So I've put the other half of my pie crust into the fridge, and I'm going to just work with the first one here, cut in half. And I've got this biscuit cutter that's really huge. I never use it for biscuits. I only use it for ham pies. And I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. That's what size it is anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to gently roll this out. You don't want to overwork your dough or it'll be tough. And I'm going to roll this out and cut out as many of these as I can. And so we'll see how many ham pies we get. Now is a good time to preheat your oven to 375, and you're going to bake these beautiful pies for about 25 minutes. But start at 22 and go up from there and see how golden they are. So I'm just going to get some parchment paper out on some cookie sheets so I can put these little babies on here, and then I don't need to grease the pan and clean the pan really, except for a quick wash after. It's so easy. So now I'm just preparing a light egg wash for the top of the ham pies, and then after I put the filling into the pie, wash it with egg, I'm going to sprinkle some granulated sugar. If you have the large sugar, I think it's called turbinado sugar or something. Anyway, that nice crystallized larger sugar, whatever that is. If anybody knows, please leave me a comment. I'd love to have the correct terminology, but that sugar, I would love to get some of that for my pastries. But if you sprinkle that on top, it looks so nice and tastes so good. So now we're just going to be putting these little ham pies together, and you're just going to put a couple tablespoons of your peach filling, mostly the peach chunks. Try and use as little of the juice as you can and press down. You can also use I was trying to use this new tool. So that's it, friends. I'm going to put my feet up. That was a lot of everything peaches. The ham pies are all done, the jam is done, the muffins are done, and I've got 2 quarts of peach pie filling back in the counter. So you can always use your leftover pie filling and just can it for 20 or 25 minutes. And so you don't, if you have too much for the filling and you have all that extra, don't waste it, just can it. So thanks so much for joining me today. It was really fun to be back in the kitchen. I'm so excited that I'm home and can cook again. And love you guys. Bye. It actually brought tears to my eyes, you guys, because I haven't had a full day in the kitchen in so long. I can't even explain to you how long. It just felt so amazing. Laying with the puppies. It's time to lounge now. So have a fantastic day and just have gratitude for everything. I do. I have gratitude for everything. I have gratitude for you. What a sunset. The perfect way to end a great day. Bye, you guys. Catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.